Hey, everybody. Welcome to Open Orientation. So this is the first week for many of you, and we have current and future students. There's a lot of people who are already taking the first courses of the curriculum, may have some questions about future courses. So this is a way for you guys to ask any questions that you might have about GSO in general, or specific questions about your classes that you're taking, or what the future plans of GSO is, so that you guys can align your goals and align your schedule to make everything work. So right now we are, of course, live. So the best way to communicate is to either use the YouTube chat or the Discord in the general tab. Either way, I'll see your questions. Of course, you know, in the Discord, we actually have a record of it so other students can reference it. Otherwise, I can also repeat the question. So while I am here, please go ahead and ask. So we'll spend about 30 minutes from now to see where everything goes. Hopefully I can answer all your questions. I'll do my best. If it extends beyond that, it's completely fine. The point is, if you guys have questions about anything, go ahead and ask, and we'll go right to it. So first question that I'm seeing on the YouTube live chat, Goran Sandal. Has the Unreal course started now, or is it still in planning? So we are gonna start the Unreal class not this week, but the week after. So let's see. Right now on the beta website, it's scheduled to start on the 24th. So Leo was in the Unreal channel, and for people who are not in the Unreal class, this might be educational to you guys. It was originally supposed to start on the 7/10 along with all the other courses, but our scholars dropped out. He had stuff that came up, so he wasn't able to dedicate the time. But it was kind of like a good news in disguise, because Leo and I went back to the drawing board, because the Unreal course was gonna be more like a one-off thing, but now we're developing it into a curriculum. So very faithful to the veins of what we've been doing with all the other classes. So every environment curriculum we got going on here, the lighting curriculum, and now the Unreal curriculum that we're planning and about to record all the classes, it's looking like a year to a year and a half worth of courses. And it's not just a disjointed type of thing like you would expect from a lot of other online school. Like everything that we're doing, Leo and I are dedicating it to, from start to finish. This is how you go from a beginner to a junior level artist, designer, or whatever, to get into the industry, right? So hopefully the goal is, by the end of these curriculums that you complete, environment, lighting, or Unreal curriculums, by the end of it, you are ready to apply for a job with an awesome portfolio. That's the goal. So with Unreal curriculum, it's starting on the 21st. That ain't budging, and we're dedicated to making that first class happen. I think Leo mentioned before in the channels, if you're catching up or haven't caught up, is that we're gonna have it a crash course of sort, right? He kind of pulled the classes, asking is it okay we just jump right into it, like a more advanced type of thing? But there was a lot of it was half and half. A lot of people, and even the advanced students, were kind of clamoring, saying like, it's all right if they get like a little the GSO treatment of the beginner courses, as in like just going through the basics, the Unreal, just to include everybody, right? And I think it's a good idea, because we're starting from the scratch, not leaving out anybody. So if you're not exposed to any of the many Unreal and excellent, honestly, YouTube tutorials, or Unreal's official channels on Twitch and everything, you can go onto a GSO and learn from us and still be caught up. And honestly, there is so much information out there. It can be a problem because there's so much. It can be confusing, right? You don't know where to start. And so the whole point of GSO is to provide structure, right? Start with us and then finish with us to get like a thorough, consistent education. So Unreal curriculum is very much like that. We're gonna start it off with a crash course. Go through the basics, and even the basics. I don't think everybody knows the fundamentals of Unreal. I think a lot of people, use interface stuff, like how to drop a static mesh in there. That's like very normal, but we're going over like, game state, player state, the core principles of Unreal and even game development. So like with Unreal, it's supposed to be the culmination of all the other curriculums, right? Just to kind of dig into what Unreal is for a lot of students who are curious. Gukin says a lot of talk, field results, released a complete course. No, we're not doing that. The whole point of what we're doing, we could have went the route of a lot of YouTube channels, releasing all the tutorials and just letting everyone go at it at their own pace. That's not the point of our school. And if that's what you're looking, I'm sorry to disappoint, but that's not our goal. Lee and I have taught at institutions and schools, and even now, like, it's great that the free information and free education is so vast and available, but a lot of it has no structure. And so with GSO, we're providing like traditional way of learning, which is going along with it with other students. That's the main thing. Like if you just look at the channels, and I'm just so proud of all the students who are interacting within the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, please do so. It's very beneficial. Just seeing students like every week working at the same goals. And I think it is very encouraging to finish. There are badasses out there who are great at learning by themselves, but you're kind of missing out, I would say 60% of the industry of getting your first job by doing that, because you're learning by yourself. You're not really creating any contacts. And if you've, have talked to professionals that have gotten jobs or their first job, a lot of it's referral, man. Like a lot of your friends that you, and that's the benefit of going to like an art school or a traditional school. Like the education, I wouldn't say is as consistent as if you go online and scoop around, because the teachers vary, right? Some are good, some are terrible. But the benefit has always been going along with other students that eventually get jobs. So that's what we're trying to recreate in GSO, right? So the students that you are taking classes with that are posting in Discord channels and providing progress every week is amazing. It's incredible. And if you stick to it, I assure you, like from beginning to end, right? Because every class, as you go higher and higher, there's going to be a progress check from the scholars. Basically, it's not that you take the first lighting course and you're automatically in the second course, sort of like you get first dibs. But if your portfolio and the homework that you produce isn't there, the scholars won't pass you, because what's the point, right? What's the point of advancing you if your quality isn't up to par? Like if you haven't, gotten the principles of Maya, like what's the point of going and moving you over to a new software like ZBrush or Substance or Painter, Designer, like all these other things you got to learn. You're just going to be more and more behind, and your foundations is so weak that it just feels like you're not getting anything in, right? So and unfortunately, that's the way most schools are when you go to art school, right? It's students get C's and D's, and they still go on to the next class. That's the problem to me, right? Because you're just barely scraping by, and if you want to get into the industry, scraping by is not good enough, man. You're going against like amazing artists, amazing designers, like with kick-ass portfolios, and those guys are the cream of the crop, right? They are the ones that tried the hardest to get to the point where you're impressed with their stuff. So if you're up there with a subpar portfolio because you've been scraping by with C's and D's, you just wasted 2 years, right? So a lot of what we're doing at GSO is to make sure that you're not wasting 2 years. At most, you're wasting a few months, right? You take a course like environment and lighting, the first course, and you're starting to get it, but you're not dedicating enough time. It's like, that's fine. Take it again. We encourage you guys to retake the course, um, and learn the concepts, and go at it. And maybe you feel more and more encouraged because maybe you're slightly better than the completely new students, right? You've seen the lectures, you're just repeating the lessons and the homework, right? That's what we want. We want you to retake the course until you're excellent, and then we move you on to the next one, so you're not wasting time or wasting our time. Yeah. To go back to the original question, Unreal started. No, it hasn't started. It's starting in 21st. And if the students are interested, it's closed right now because it's really full. But that first week, not a lot of students show up, as in not everyone, they sign up, but not everyone shows up, right? That's just how it is when it comes to these type of things. So slots might be open. And we're going to throw that up on the general tab for anyone who wants to get into Unreal. So Unreal is, again, the culmination of hopefully all the disciplines, right? So we're planning to have, right now we have environment, lighting. We're concentrating on that right now. At some point, we're going to have animation, character, programming, technical, which includes rigging, all these different job disciplines that makes up a game, including Games Go Online, and we're completely providing that for free. So the Unreal class, or maybe at some point we're going to make a Unity curriculum, is to combine the different skill sets of you guys' disciplines and work together while we coach you through how to make your first game. Right now we're gearing towards FPS, but later we might expand it to other different genres of gaming. But the whole point is just to get a team production class, which is valuable because now you can have, relying on each other and, upload files, download files, and recreate what it would be like at a job, right? So that when you do get your first job, you're not completely thrown into a loop, right? You have some type of understanding of working together as a team. So that's the main point with Unreal curriculum. So a lot of the students who have taken the classes right now have some type of understanding. They're getting it. And the new students that you guys are in, welcome. But what you're going to start to see is week by week, right? You're going to see less and less people dedicating their time to do the homework. That's just how it is. So when you do see that, don't get discouraged, right? Be encouraged, because you're actually, if you're doing the homework and you're not seeing anyone else do it, you're actually one of the top students, right? If you keep doing that for a year and a half, I guarantee all the students to complete the curriculum from start to finish and do the homework week by week, you will have no problem getting a job, because it takes a complete dedication and commitment to get to that point. And once you get to the point, why not try a little harder and apply for a job and get a job, right? And when we get to that point, there will be a course that teaches you how to, get a job, basically, do the interview process, talk about salary. But that's the grand plan for all these curriculums. At some point, year and a half, it's looking like for the Unreal curriculum to be able to do that. And the Unreal curriculum is more about team production. So it's more to kind of showcase a prototype, just get used to things, and hopefully encourage you guys to do more of it on your own. So that's the Unreal curriculum. Let's see. Is there any other questions? Like they're basically college checks in order to be able. Yeah. So that is kind of the grand vision. By now, I think you guys know we have a few members. GSO members, and right now we're calling it the starter. We're planning to make a more advanced one and more information about that, but the starter includes pretty much this type of thing, but directly towards your week by week homework assignment, right? So if you're in environment 101 right now, week 2 homework, and you guys are doing it on your own, if you want my feedback, or in the future other environment scholar feedbacks, that is awesome. If you guys aren't sure on what exactly, there's a lot of members already that are very active in the Discord channel. Just ask them, and you guys give your honest opinion, how you feel about it, if it's helpful or not. But it's just an extra optional thing, completely optional. You guys can complete GSO without us. But it's one of those things like, well, if you can talk to scholars and meet up with them and kind of give, the cool thing about it is like we get invested in you, right? By the time in a year and a half, and I'm talking to the same students over and over and over again, and they get to the point where I think it's like you're really good, I have no problem recommending you, right? Vice versa, it's like if you're a student and your work is no good and I have never met you, it's like, I'll try to get you better, but I'm not going to go there and put my neck out there to my friends at these awesome companies and say like, this is good students. Like, both you and I know that's not true, right? Because that's not what we want. We want you to be good and then apply. So let's see. Praveen, do you think we can use the assets for the FPS from the Environment Students Project? Yeah, I think you can totally do that. But again, it really depends on what you guys come up with. So what we're doing with those classes, like we'll teach you how to set things up. We'll teach you like the principles and how to use Unreal and all this stuff. But there's another portion that's like, all right, so this week you guys need to brainstorm. We set a date for you guys, and you guys get in a room and start talking to each other and brainstorming. And then at that type of meeting, you guys will start deciding who's the lead, who's taking charge, who's responsible for their department. If you're an environment guy, you're in charge of the environment and prompts. If you're a design guy, you're in charge of all the blueprint and design. If you're like the weapons guy, you're in charge of the weapons. Like, that's part of the Unreal curriculum. That's the fun of it, right? We're simulating what it would be like inside a studio, and it kind of giving you guys the ability to be in charge, to have fun with that, and know what it's like when people don't show up or commit to it. And that's why we're thinking of adding like a GSO member pro that accommodates that, because we're creating like a per-first server. If you guys haven't heard of a per-first server, it's basically like a cloud server that you guys can upload and download assets from each other, and so everyone's going to get like a username and password and be able to swap work while working on the same project, right? It's definitely awesome because that's what we use professionally. So we'll teach you how to use it, and once you go to a job site, it's going to be very familiar, because every AAA studio, even small studios, use Perforce as a way to share assets. And what's cool about it, if you haven't heard of it, is that it saves your depot, right? So if you make a revision and then you do 10 updates, right, on Perforce, what it does, it keeps that history, right? So at any point you're like, oh man, there's this one time I did this thing, I overwrote it, I want to go back, right? You can do that without jeopardizing your work or anyone's update, right? So it's really awesome, and we're going to teach you all that, but it's integral if you're making a project together to have that type of ability to go back in history and go back to a revision that you like, and work together and trade assets. So yes, I mean, if you guys come up with a game like that has a motorcycle or gun or whatever that you want to use, go for it. But I think probably more than likely you guys will probably come up with a core concept that involves funner assets to do and generate. So it really is up to you and your team, right? Every time we start the curriculum, you have a class of students, basically, right? So right now we're limiting a lot of the signups to be 100 students, and you'll be surprised out of the 100 students, and you can talk, maybe current students that have taken the courses can kind of speak to it. Like, we ran the course at least once, right? The lighting course, environment course, at least once so far. And they're waiting for the second course in September. But out of those two courses, right, that have ran for about 3 months or 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks. 150 students signed up. And then maybe the first week, there's like 60 students that actually watched the first week. And then as weeks go by the end of it, there was probably 8 to 10 students from each class, from each curriculum that actually followed through and completed each homework, right? So that's what you guys should hopefully your class, the new class that has just started on July 10th this week, has better results. But that's what we see, right? And that's what I see a lot when I've taught at physical traditional art schools, right? And I've seen this in person. Like the first week is the most amped, the most excited, bright-eyed students that you've ever seen. But as the weeks go by, the excuses start coming in. Like my hard drive crashed. My grandpa died. Well, that might be a serious one, but things like that, like excuses. And by the end of it, there's only a few students that actually stuck to it and got A's or B's, right? So that's completely fine. I understand you guys. This is maybe just a hobby for a lot of you, and others might be completely serious. Right? They want to stick to GSO and get jobs by the end of it. It's a lot cheaper. I mean, we're free. Just to paint the idea, you know, if you guys aren't fortunate enough to have these art schools around you, it's like, dude, 100K for a 3-year program. Hey, I hate that. Leo hates that. All the scholars we talk to hates that, especially when we're in an industry that doesn't look at your degree. Right? It doesn't matter to us as long as your work is good. Right? So it's pointless. At the same time, you know, there's a vast majority of tutorials out there on YouTube that are made available for you guys for free, but it's tough. I think as a beginner, if you're going and jumping in, you're just randomly learning certain things and specific things about program, which I feel can be dangerous because you're just having, like, you know, if it's not from the official channel, you're having bad advice given to you. At the same time, it doesn't make you a complete prop artist, environment artist, just because you know how to make a prop, right? You kind of miss a lot of core concepts of making a game. And a lot of that is definitely missing on the internet, like just the idea of draw calls or performance or optimization or how to best make your prop so that it doesn't kill the game or the computer that you're running off of or the system that you're running off of, booting to a system, working with other departments. These are things that are missing a lot from, even though the online educational platform has been crazy good, but it's more technical, right? A lot of these schools are concentrating on technical ability, which is great, but only halfway there. As a game developer, you're learning more and more about working with others, if anything, and then the ability to, you know, be creative and talk to each other, right? So, you know, with GSO, we're concentrating on that, and especially on real curriculum, we're really focusing on making you guys not only being able to make amazing prop or come up with some good design, is to be able to communicate that to each other so that you guys aren't, you know, stepping on each other's foot and pissing each other off. There's another question, Martin Venter. Do you think it might be a good idea to have a database location, to have a gallery-like area to see people's progress week by week, to see others' progression and possibly motivate each other? Yeah. So we've been thinking about, you know, putting up a gallery, but, you know, a lot of the website stuff, I feel like it's so old school. It might be good at some point to make, like, you know, best of students gallery of that course. You know, when you guys sign up on beta, it might have like a little, like, a screenshot of, like, oh, these are from past students and stuff. But maybe this is something like, where do you guys want to see it, right? It might be a good question to pose you guys, because, you know, the Discord has been the main communication platform for us. It's just so easy. We hate the ideas of forums, I feel like it's very old. Polycount does a great job at it, but like other than that, it's like forums are really old. Discord has been great, just seeing real-time feedback, real-time responses. So the cool thing too is that there's a huge history of being able to go back on the Discord channel and just check everyone's work and what everyone has talked about. So maybe a combination of that and best of students gallery would be good. I mean, do you guys feel like maybe every week, just showcase homework might be a good thing? Like, I don't like spamming you guys with email too much, but if a weekly newsletter sort is something you guys really want, I can definitely do that. I personally don't like spam. I feel like it just is annoying unless there's something big I want to announce, like, oh, you guys, we're doing this, doing that. That is probably pretty cool. But like weekly newsletter, if it's something that you guys want where it shows like best of gallery, best of stuff, might be cool. Let's see. But yeah, if you want, the best place to show each other's progress has been the Discord channel lately. So if your environment, just post an environment. I even tell you guys to do that in the video. It's just the best place to communicate. Everyone's there. So if you're the dedicated one, you're in there looking at everyone's work. It's kind of like the fastest way to look at each other's stuff. What's nice is that Portfolio is okay. 180. Why exactly do most people say you shouldn't use Git for UE4 projects? Git, it's just another way. I know people who use Git. It's mostly for indie developers. Git is a lot cheaper. Perforce has been used by AAA companies a lot. It's been reformed, fixed, commented on by a lot of people. So there's a lot of money behind it. So that's why it's a lot stabler. I prefer it because I've used it pretty much at every job I've had. And that's why we're kind of using it for a UE4. And UE4 has like a great, it already has a Perforce thing set up with it. That's why we're kind of preferring it, because it has a really great way of just integrating your work without you doing extra stuff. The only thing we need to do on our side is just setting up a cloud server for you guys. So that's what the Unreal Curriculum, we're creating a cloud server, right? And we're thinking of doing a pro member that allows you access, and it's mostly to pay the server, right? Otherwise it'd be out of our pocket. But what is included with the pro server is like us coaching you guys week by week on the project, on certain things to stay away from, right? It's not just like you guys watching the lectures and we kind of let you guys go and figure out and set up meetings among yourself, set up your own team leads and stuff. No, Leo and I and other scholars will kind of be like the project lead, basically. Right? We'll guide you how to plan. We'll guide you how to execute. So that's the Unreal Curriculum. I know a lot of you guys, some of you guys are Unreal guys in that course or curriculum, and others aren't. I'm just kind of painting a picture of what that curriculum is, because I think it is the ultimate curriculum that includes everybody at some point. Maybe not at first, maybe later you guys will do it. We're still deciding, and this might be, so the question is, what is the cost of the pro service for students? We're still deciding what's a good value for you guys. So we might throw this later at the members who are currently the starter members. And we might talk to more of our advanced students to see what's the best price. I'm not going to throw a number. I don't want to scare you guys, but we just want a reasonable price where, having scholars every week talking to you guys, setting a server, you guys, for you guys to upload assets, managing those assets. It takes time. So it has to be somewhat good, but reasonable for you guys, because I know not everyone makes bank here, and the whole point of GSO is to have you students being able to do this without breaking their wallet. So at what point, so more on that later. So that might be a newsletter thing. So within the next week or so, an email will be sent out about the Unreal curriculum for anyone that is interested, and about our GSO Member Pro. That includes the service and the extra scholar time to set up every week. At what point in the curriculum do you see us being ready for internships? I would say for lighting and environment that we currently have right now, I would say, Leo, might be better to ask Leo about the lighting, but I say within a year. And that's usually the case for most art schools anyway. Within a year, you should have a pretty good grasp. For environment, at least, by that time you learn Maya, ZBrush, and then modeling, right? You'll be modeling both in Maya and ZBrush in the third class. And then in the fourth class, we'll be starting to get into texture. So maybe by that time, you'll have a pretty good modeling portfolio to start fishing it around, and then you have a basic concept of texturing. So that might be a good time to start applying for internship. You might have a good portfolio by then. If you guys are curious, environment curriculum, the guys who have taken the first course have been pumping out like amazing work. Like every course, I'm trying to aim at like, hey, you just made something awesome. Let's try to show that off and have something that you guys would be proud of to post on ArtStation, right? That's pretty much all the courses that we're setting up. So every step of the way, you're already thinking about portfolio, right? I'm not saying that you're gonna use your motorcycle as your final portfolio piece. I would actually encourage you guys to scrap it and just build another motorcycle or another vehicle from scratch, because you're gonna be so much better. I mean, that's just how it goes. You're just gonna make better work. So show your best work in that way. But if you want to, some solid work in there already. So I say about a year for both, and any future curriculum is about a good time to start interning. So 7 community. I need advice. I'm using U4. I want to start on working on my commercial project. I've started working on my project, but the problem is it will take a long time, and I don't have a team yet. Yeah. Yeah, a commercial project is difficult. I'm assuming it's paid, so you're under the gun a bit if you don't deliver. So it's difficult taking on a job without a full team in place. And if you listen to podcasts, we talk about this many times. Like, there's so many times that a company take on a paid job without the team in place, and sometimes they pull it off, and most of the time they don't, because it's, how do you plan for a person that doesn't exist on your team yet? Like it's always a variable that you're dealing with, so you're always going to have an issue. Hopefully you find enough people. I guess you just got to start searching harder to get a team together, so that you can start scheduling that out, so that you can talk to your client and say, all right, this is how long it'll take me to get there, right? Most likely they'll give you a deadline already, so you got to find a very pro team to get there faster. So should I change my idea and start working on a new small project? So if you're talking about a big project and a small project, definitely go small project if you don't have a team and you're just by yourself. It's difficult, right? So the Unreal curriculum is to kind of help with that. We're building a project together as a team. So I would encourage, if you're not in that class, to look out for that curriculum. It's exactly what you're trying to do. We're trying to group up the best guys together so that we can work together, and we guide you into making your FPS project or whatever. And so everyone would be proud and have that. So starting small is definitely better, because most likely you'll be by yourself most of the time until you get something looking good. That's when people are going to contact you and say, hey, I want to be in on this. You have to kind of show that you're serious and you're not joking around, for people to actually believe in you and team up with you. And that's just the way it is. So it's going to be you for a while until you come up with something. In that time while you are trying to work on your own project, you're gonna get better and better. Just figuring shit out, which is a great investment for yourself. So I definitely encourage you, if you want to do a small project, do it. Go ahead and start. It's a great time to research, give yourself some purpose. You know, schedule it out week by week. Don't go for grand goals, right? Don't plan out 6 months. You know, plan out 2 weeks, to a month of what you need to do, and then check within a month if how much of that have you done. All right, and then reschedule. And it's a lot of that, a lot of discipline when it comes to it. Can you explain what an internship is, paid or not, how many hours and so on? I work part-time. Internship is just game companies that need cheap labor from prospective students. It's a way for you to get some experience, and it's a way for the company to get work for cheap. Basically, that's the best way to think about it. So because you're not like a full-time employee and you're not a pro yet, right? You're still learning. They're more willing to work with you to teach you the pipeline. So when you get an internship before you even graduate, you're actually, you know, ahead of students that haven't interned and just graduated and are looking for jobs, right? Because you have a resume now, right? I interned at Naughty Dog. I interned at a small company in LA that makes games, right? So now you're a little bit more attractive than that person that just has a great portfolio, right? So you versus them, if you both have great portfolios, but you have the internship, you're gonna get hired. That's the advantage of that. So internships are great for that reason. Some are paid, some are not. It depends on how you want it, right? Meaning different companies offer paid ones, different companies don't offer paid ones. Most offer paid ones nowadays, I believe. So if you get an opportunity, unless it's like an awesome company, it's like a dream company that you've always wanted, and they're saying it's internship is free, you have to make the decision whether or not to take it or not. But I would say take it if it's your dream company, because the experience is awesome. But most internships are paid nowadays, at least in the US. I don't know everywhere in the country, everywhere nationally or internationally. Different companies are different. So yeah, internships are great. You guys should definitely consider it. Keep your eyes out for that. Will the live session be the same as the story if it's in some description? I just don't really understand. Yeah, the live sessions are a lot like this, where I would spend maybe 5-10 minutes if it's the first time to kind of introduce myself. But most live sessions are more like, all right, this is week 2 of the environment class. I'm looking at your work and on the Discord channel, and I break it down, and you know, just kind of going through the general. I might download your work file and I might zoom around in Maya. Same with Leo. He might look around your work and might just give you awesome critiques and awesome tips and advice. That is sometimes, you know, if you've been to Leo's and stuff, if you're in the lighting channel, you know, he drops some gold in those things that aren't included in the actual lecture itself. It just comes up, right? We just remember things. And it's the most up-to-date information, right? So the advantage is interfacing with us, interfacing with other scholars, and then and talking like that. And every week, I mean, every month we have like a GSO workshop. Sorry, I'm sounding like an advertisement, but someone's asking, so I'm just kind of giving you the lay down. So this month, for example, we have a concept artist who's doing a workshop for GSO at the end of the month for the members. And that is really cool because he used to be a concept artist at Naughty Dog. He was a concept artist, you know, on Uncharted series, obviously, at Insomniac. He's over at Amazon right now. He has so much experience, and he's doing like a, you know, just kind of intro to concept art, basically, for you guys. So there's like a 45-minute lecture that is available for the members, and then like about an hour feedback on, you know, critiquing the homework assignment that is generated from that. But we have that every month. You know, we're planning a few more next month and the month after. You know, we have a guy from Blur, who's a character artist, worked at DICE and Battlefront and all that as a character guy, and he's doing a workshop. So those are really cool opportunities to talk to these guys, and those are the type of guys we're bringing in. And it's a way for us to like include the other disciplines until we actually have curriculums for them and build it up, because it takes a while, right? We're concentrating mostly on environment, lighting, and Unreal curriculum right now, because it's the most popular one. If you guys ever go onto online education, it's usually environment, usually about lighting, usually about Unreal or Unity, right? So we're trying to tackle that, make sure that the students that are taking those curriculums are getting a lot of value out of it before we branch out, right? Because we are thinking about like adding animation at some point, and character art, of course. Everyone loves character, but like these type of things, we want you guys to have jobs. So if you ever been at a game company, as an example at Sledgehammer, we had like, how many character guys? We had like 4 character guys on the team out of 200, versus we had 40 environment guys. Designers, we had about 8 designers. Concept guys, we had about 4. Animation, we had about 6. So very single digit numbers, right? So obviously we're trying to tackle the bigger departments, right? And then we wind down on the other curriculums, because we want you guys to succeed, right? We want you guys to have jobs. So okay, let's see. Do you have more interactive scholar sessions planned later sometime, like incorporating voice chat and stuff like those archive videos? Yes. So if you remember, we're gonna have those interactive scholar session all the time. So you're talking about like having a student inside the room with the scholar and just going back and forth. Yeah, I don't see why not. Obviously, as the membership grows, like we can't squeeze a lot of people in it, but it might be cool to play kind of popcorn. I think that's a good thing. I might, let's say we'll spend like 5-10 minutes with a particular student, and I'll just invite them in a chat room like this, and we'll just talk for 5-10 minutes, and I'll kick you out, and then I'll invite another student randomly. It might be cool. We'll play that with that. We're in beta, so we're experimenting a lot of things. And the old way of doing it was like that, where we brought in a student inside this. So I'm not talking to myself the whole time, right? This is actually difficult, just talking to yourself. So it's actually better if I invite people and have a conversation to see you guys' faces, right? Right now, you guys are just a bunch of text box. Let's see. Can you get a portfolio for internship or the content made while in there belongs to the company? That's the whole point of internship. So you can use the work that you generate there in your own portfolio, right? So most companies are pretty cool, right? If you talk to your lead and say, hey, I want to use this in portfolio, is that fine? So of course, it's fine. And of course, you just got to get permission from them. But hey, sorry guys for getting cut off. I'll just end it. It'll be pretty quick. We have about 5 minutes left anyways. So if you guys are thinking about becoming a member, just talk to anyone on the Discord channel that is highlighted red. Those guys are the members, which is the cool thing about Discord. It kind of tells everyone who's in what hashtag, basically. So every week, this is what you should expect. It's going to be very specific to the classes that you're taking. So week 2 for environment, I'll be concentrating on week 2. If you didn't make it for the first one, that's fine. I might go over. It just depends on what you post on the hashtag member. And you can see that, some of you guys might have access to that. But when you become a member, you will. And basically, that's what would be referring to a lot. I think the question before is like, well, is it mostly like this, where I'm looking at the chat channel and I'm kind of talking to a mic? Yes, it will be like that, but we'll experiment. Like we used to do it, where I invite a student into this environment and just talk to them and record that. But not everybody likes that. Not everyone's very comfortable being recorded, because this will be viewed by others, and being able to chat back and forth. So it really depends. Let me make sure I open up the chat box here so I can see the questions being asked. Let's see here. Let me pop this open here. All right, so I'll answer a couple more questions. So upcoming courses after the ZBrush course is curious. So we're going over for the environment class specifically. I think that's what you're asking. Is that we're going over pretty much all the programs that an environment artist needs to know, right? So Unreal will take care of the Unreal portion of it, but there might be a specific Unreal for environment course. There's going to be like a substance designer and painter. We're talking about Quixel suite. Quixel's starting to become less and less relevant, but a lot of people still use it, and it's an easier program to learn. So it's probably the first texturing program we'll learn to use just through texturing. We're talking about head-esque UV layout, lighting. We'll go over some lighting, but the lighting curriculum's way better at it, so it's more concentrated on that. So it might be a whole separate thing, but basically being able to create props, texture props, showcase props, import props into Unreal, and function as an environment artist within a team environment. And that's pretty much the whole year and a half. Another question that was being asked right now is, did you say something about GSO Pro membership? Yeah, the Pro membership, we're thinking about, it doesn't change anything. If you guys are kind of like the starter member right now, is like every week you get feedback on your assignment. But the Pro is more for the Unreal curriculum. We're thinking about it, and we might pose this question to the members to see if it's something viable, if it's something that you guys would be interested in. But basically, it pays for the per first server, and we want to bring in more and more scholars in, and those guys aren't free. So that is more, if you're dedicated to working with a team environment. And you guys probably see this who are current students or students that have already taken courses, that it takes a certain level of dedication from the students to stick with it. So if we're trying to build like a team production class that requires, we're talking about a year and a half commitment, right? You're relying on this person that you've never met, but probably get more and more friendly with throughout that year and a half. And you're relying on them to deliver assets, deliver design, so that you can do your work, right? That's a huge problem in a lot of, professional settings even, right? And we're trying to create this in the side of school. So the payment, the Pro is kind of like, how committed are you guys? Of course, you guys can still take the course, right? It's completely free for the year and a half. You don't have to have any membership, to be honest. You can do it all on your own. You can try to recreate your own team on yourself and get to it. The benefit of the Pros, we have a per first server. We have the scholars kind of guiding you every week, and to help you guys get together, because it's no secret that if you're a Pro member, you're most likely going to stick to it because you're paying for it every month. So then we'll have a dedicated. It might be just 5 students, it might be 6 students, but those are 6 dedicated students that can rely on each other because they paid, right? And I hate to say it, but I feel like it's the only way where you can get a certain team dedicated enough to stick to it every month, And you guys see it, if you're a member or if you talk to the other members, it's a very dedicated group of students that really want to get better. And I can really see those guys, if they stick to it, getting jobs after this whole experience. And it's the only way I've seen that, if you want a group of committed students that rely on each other, you kind of have to have some kind of push to like, all right, a buy-in basically of like, this is how serious I am. So that's the whole point of the Pro. We'll talk to you guys more individually. Yeah, we're trying to find the good. So the response is, unless it's too much, count me in. But like, we're trying to find the good spot here, right? So the starter member, I feel like it's a very, very good value, and it's very affordable for people internationally, right? Or just in high school or whatever. It's $10 a month, and you get to talk to a scholar every week about your progress. And we're throwing GSO workshops in there, so you're talking to other scholars from other disciplines and kind of see, hey, am I interested in being concept artist? Maybe I am. Let me take this workshop. Am I interested in being animator? Let me take the animation workshop. Right, 1 hour lecture and 1 hour feedback is kind of like the norm for those, just to dip your toes, right? So those for $10, I feel like that's really fair. So the pro is just, gonna be higher than that, and we're trying to find a good amount where we don't want to count anyone out for sure, but we do have to pay for perforce, and at the same time we want dedicated students who are really serious to work with each other and commit their time together. So yeah, so I'm glad the GSO members who are already there. We have a lot planned this month, like 4 sessions plus the GSO workshop, so it's pretty, I feel like, pretty good, and most of them are like an hour long. This was supposed to be 30 minutes, but you'll see a lot of times we go over because we like talking to you guys. We just put a clamp on it because we do have lives, and we don't want to go on forever talking to a mic. So that's the whole point of that. But this will end this session officially, right? Sorry for being cut off. My internet just died on me. But hopefully you guys find this useful. One last question. I heard a lot for modeling that you should be good at drawing, for instance, sculpting. I'm curious, is that really essential to start? Is that true at all? No. I've seen a lot of 3D artists that are badass 3D artists that can't draw worth shit. They're just terrible at drawing, which is weird. But it happens a lot. And I've seen a lot of 2D drawers who are also good at 3D. And those guys are just exponentially that much better, basically, to be able to do both. There's a certain way of thinking, but it's not like a way of, like, if the 2D artist shows the 3D art and a badass 3D art shows the 3D art right next to each other, it's not like I'll be able to tell, like, oh, this guy is obviously the awesome 2D artist too. It just depends on the personality, right? But it is helpful to be able to draw, learn the fundamentals. It gives you that extra design sense. I feel like from the, I would say, double threat type of artist, but it's not essential. Like, I don't draw that well. I draw okay, but I'm much better at 3D, and it hasn't stopped me from having a career. So you'll meet more of that, I think, than the unicorns, I would call them, that are both good at 2D and 3D. So environment, yeah. You're doing a lot of hard surfacing most of the time, I think, when it comes to sculpting. You're not doing a lot of organic type of weird alien plant of some sort, or tree. Nowadays we don't even use speed tree for trees anyways. You're not really doing too much of trees unless it's a tree game. But yeah, not true at all. You don't need to be good at both to succeed in either. All right, so this officially ends this live session. I'll make it easier for you guys. I'll combine both of it so it doesn't seem disjointed for later students to watch. So for reference, if you guys want to look at this again, go for it. But looking forward to all the work. Please post as much as often on the Discord channel. I think it's just encouraging to see students working at it. And we're really curious. Hopefully a good amount of you guys, that's my dog barking. It's a good ending. I'll see you guys. Have a good one.